Yesterday's big story was about Portland police and the use of tear gas during protests and riots in downtown Portland shortly after the murder of George Floyd. An analysis by a research agency based in London modeled how much tear gas they estimated was deployed throughout the city on the night of June 2nd, 2020. They found that Portland police deployed so much tear gas that the concentration in the air in certain parts of downtown was thousands of times higher than the established safe levels. And we heard from a researcher at Kaiser Permanente about the effects of tear gas, both short and long term. People experienced in the aftermath of their exposure, things like, headaches, gastrointestinal issues, menstrual changes. And it affects people who were actively participating in the protests and riots, as well as bystanders and people who just worked or lived downtown. At the end of our segment, we asked you for your thoughts, and my, oh my, did we hit a nerve with some of you.
Protesters got exactly what they deserved. They've tried to burn down the city of Portland. They had 100 nights of not peaceful protests, but downright riots. And let's take a good hard look at downtown Portland and the shape that this city is in today. They got what they deserved.
Veronica says, what I saw on the news was rioting, looting, destruction of property, as well as the rioters throwing items at law enforcement. Your question was, did the Portland Police Department use too much tear gas? My answer is nope, they did not use enough. And John chimed in, tough, stay out of the streets. The police needed to use whatever means they could to control the crowds. And finally, there's this from Barbara. How can police control a rioting mob any other way? If you were protesting peacefully, you wouldn't have a problem. Now, several of you aimed your frustrations at the city government. Dean wrote in to say, the story with regards to tear gas riots had me up off the couch last night. Had the mayor and elected officials stopped the daily riots and destruction that were taking place, the tear gas problem would have never existed in the first place. DJ had this to say. Police used way too much tear gas and residents and the innocent workers were hurt. The violent protesters used fire, vehicles, rocks, intimidation, and broken glass and destroyed downtown. The elected leadership sat on their hands and let it all happen. And we got dozens of emails and more than a dozen voicemails from viewers about this one, and only one email that read like this. Michael wrote, thanks for the story that finally starts to hold PPB to account for their use of chemical weapons against a resident. Use the same chemicals would be war crimes in other settings. One hates to think about the other nights not studied. And he went on, from our apartment, we once saw a gas cloud so large it rose above the Standard Insurance building. Lots of folks live downtown and many of us had gas seep into our homes while we slept. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts and comments with us. 2020 was quite a year for downtown Portland, and we recognize that all of the very strong feelings about what happened and the way things were handled there. But the more we talk about it and study the way things were done, perhaps we can learn a thing or two and help inform our decisions in the future.